Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on a hidden world, a realm where identities are meticulously crafted, secrets are the actual currency, and, well, information shapes destiny.
Absolutely.
Our mission is to immerse you in this intricate landscape of clandestine operations. We want to equip you with the knowledge to understand how influence operates, often unseen, and how information is increasingly weaponized.
In government, in the corporate world, everywhere, really.
Exactly. And it all starts with one fundamental concept: cover.
And it's far more complex than just a trench coat and fedora, you know?
Right.
We're talking about intricate layers of deception. These stretch from, like, the classic espionage tales of World War II all the way to modern digital battlegrounds.
And the tech has changed so much.
Oh, totally. But what's truly fascinating is that despite all the technological advancements we've seen, the human element, it's still absolutely central.
That's psychology.
Yeah, the psychology of trust, manipulation, betrayal. It remains key to every single one of these operations.
So when we talk about cover in the intelligence world, it's not just a disguise. It's an entire fabricated reality and an operative lives within.
That's a good way to put it.
And there are two fundamentally different approaches to building that reality. Can you walk us through them?
Absolutely. So the first one, and you could argue it's the safer one, is official cover.
Okay.
This is where an operative assumes a position with clear diplomatic ties to their government, usually within an embassy or consulate.
Like posing as a cultural attaché or something.
Exactly. Or a trade representative, something legitimate sounding.
And the big advantage there is the protection that comes with it, right?
Yeah.
Diplomatic immunity, that's a powerful shield.
Precisely. It's huge. If caught, the agent is almost invariably declared persona non grata,
Right.
and they're simply expelled from the country. They avoid severe legal repercussions because their government officially recognizes their identity and diplomatic status.
It's a safety net. Protects them from the worst consequences.
Definitely. Though their career in that specific location is, well, definitely over.
Okay, but then we move to the incredibly high-stakes world of non-official cover, or NOC, sometimes called deep cover.
Yeah, NOCs. These operatives have zero official government ties. None whatsoever.
So they just blend in.
They weave themselves into society, they take on roles in businesses, maybe nonprofits, or even just as private citizens.
The contrast couldn't be starker then.
Not at all. NOC has zero diplomatic immunity. Zip. If they're captured and accused of espionage, they face the full force of the host country's criminal justice system.
Which could mean decades in prison.
Or even execution. The core insight here is that these agents are essentially ghosting their own government for years. They leave themselves utterly vulnerable.
Wow.
It's a level of commitment and, frankly, isolation most of us can barely fathom.
And that's where this idea of plausible deniability comes in. For the government, it's a critical shield.
Exactly. That's the trade-off. NOCs are rigorously trained to deny any connection to their government.
So the government can just say,
We never knew that person, or that operation wasn't ours. Even if it absolutely was. It's a legal and political firewall.
protects the government from direct accountability or international incidents.
Right. But it offers zero comfort to the agent caught behind enemy lines. They're on their own.
So how deep does this deception actually go? You mentioned front companies earlier.
Oh, it goes incredibly deep. Sometimes entire front companies or straw man entities are set up just to provide a false identity.
And a legitimate reason for being there.
Exactly.
Right.
A plausible reason for the agent's presence. We've seen this throughout history, you know, the CIA's use of Air America during the Vietnam War.
Right, classic example.
Or the infamous Brewster Jennings and Associates from the Plame Affair. Or think about Virginia Hall, a legendary WWII operative. She used a fake birth certificate identifying her as Marcel Montaigne.
Incredible.
And the CIA even has historical prohibitions against agents disguising themselves as, say, aid workers or clergy. It shows how specific and, honestly, ethically fraught these lines can be.
It really is a high-stakes gamble for the individual agent and the government. But, I mean, for all this personal peril, how do intelligence officers even find people willing to step into such a role? Or, more commonly, how do they convince someone already in place to betray their country or company? It's not like they just put out a job posting.
No, definitely not. You're right. It's a profound psychological game. It often boils down to a framework intelligence agencies use to assess potential assets. MICE. MICE stands for money, ideology, compromise, and ego.
Okay.
And the real insight here isn't just that these motivations exist, but how systematically intelligence agencies identify and leverage them, often, using multiple levers at once,
Ah.
creating this web of obligation or desire that's incredibly hard to break.
So money is straightforward enough.
Mhm.
Paying someone for information, what about the others? Ideology.
Right, ideology. This motivates individuals who fundamentally disagree with their government's actions. Think Edward Snowden. They believe they're doing the right thing by leaking information or working against the system.
Okay, makes sense. And compromise.
Compromise is the classic blackmail scenario. Using sensitive, often embarrassing or incriminating information against someone to coerce their cooperation.
Nasty stuff.
Definitely. And then there's ego. Individuals who feel overlooked, maybe smarter than their bosses, or disrespected, they might even offer their services themselves. Think of Benedict Arnold, seeking recognition or a sense of importance.
So if these are the levers, MDCE, how do they actually find the people? The ones with both the vulnerabilities and the access they need?
Yeah, that's the tricky part. It requires significant time on the ground, building relationships, deep observation, thorough investigation.
It's just talking to people.
Lots of talking, trying to identify individuals who possess both the access to the desired information and one of these psychological vulnerabilities. Often, spies use their official cover, remember the cultural attaché.
Right.
They use that to meet potential informants in seemingly innocuous settings, social events, professional conferences.
Right. It sounds like a slow, really meticulous process. And once they've identified someone, are there any rules of engagement? How do they approach and recruit?
Well, rules is a flexible term here. Intelligence operatives are often under no legal obligation to follow foreign laws when operating covertly.
I guess not.
So methods like hacking, blackmail, even subtle forms of coercion can be part of their toolkit. After all, espionage itself is illegal, right? So the framework of rules is already operating in a gray area.
The CIA even has a formal 6-step recruitment cycle, don't they? SIDRAT?
Yes, SADRAT. Spotting, assessing, development, recruiting, agent handling, and termination. It's a structured process.
I'm thinking about Shawnee Delaney, that Defense Intelligence Agency officer. Her challenge recruiting a mullah with ties to bin Laden. Money wasn't the initial motivator for him, was it?
No, it wasn't. It took her, 5 months? 5 months to truly understand his genuine motivations before she could successfully bring him onto the payroll.
That case really illustrates it perfectly. It's not just identifying a lever. It's about deeply understanding the person's true psychological landscape.
Exactly. And building a specific, often painstaking relationship, which, raises that important question. How do agents build that kind of deep trust and operate without raising suspicions, especially when the stakes are just astronomically high?
Yeah.
It just underscores the immense patience and human psychological insight required for this work.
Now, while our minds often leap straight to government spies when we think about clandestine operations, this world of hidden influence extends far beyond national security.
Oh, absolutely.
We're
right.
talking about industrial or corporate espionage, and this often flies under the radar.
And it's far more prevalent than many people realize. It involves illegal and unethical methods to collect confidential corporate data.
Like trade secrets,
Oh.
intellectual property.
Exactly. Trade secrets, IP, client lists, anything to gain a competitive advantage. The FBI, for instance, opens a new China-related counterintelligence investigation on average every 12 hours.
Every 12 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
And this type of espionage could be costing the U.S. up to maybe $600 billion annually.
That's a staggering figure.
It really highlights the sheer scale of the problem.
And the impact for businesses can be absolutely devastating, right?
Yeah, completely. We're talking loss of competitive advantage, severe reputational damage, huge financial losses.
And even national security risks if defense tech is targeted.
Precisely. And common forms of theft aren't just, secret formulas. It's trade secrets, client financial data, financial info used for bids, even marketing strategies to counter competitors.
Which industries are most vulnerable?
Well, industries heavily reliant on R&D are prime targets. Think computer hardware, IT, automotive, aerospace, biotech, chemicals.
Makes sense.
But really, any sector with valuable sensitive information, finance, retail, you name it, is at high risk.
So how do these attacks typically happen? What are the methods?
They often fall into two main categories. First, you've got cyber attacks.
Hacking, malware, phishing, that kind of stuff.
Right. Even eavesdropping. Technical terms like man-in-the-middle attacks or SQL injection just describe ways attackers intercept data or exploit system weaknesses.
Okay, so cyber is one. What's the other?
The second And often more insidious is insider threats.
People on the inside.
Exactly. This could be a spy infiltrating a company as a regular employee, or it could be a current trusted employee who gets bribed or blackmailed.
The MICE factors again.
And even inadvertent threats count here, like an employee picking up a USB stick left in a hallway. That can lead to massive data breaches.
And remote work hasn't helped, I imagine.
No, the rise of remote and hybrid work has actually increased these insider risks significantly. More access points, less direct oversight sometimes.
And the challenge in detecting this kind of espionage is profound, isn't it? You're saying most cases go completely unnoticed.
That's right. It's incredibly hard to spot because malicious actions can often blend in with normal, everyday activity.
Lose business as usual?
Pretty much. Plus, international cases are incredibly difficult to prosecute. Different laws, different jurisdictions. It's a mess.
And companies don't want to talk about it.
Exactly. Here's the crucial part. Companies often hide these incidents. They want to protect their stock prices, their reputation, which, ironically, allows the problem to persist and even grow unchecked.
So we only hear about the big ones that leak out.
Like the Monsanto case, where a Chinese scientist stole software with a memory card. Or the Samsung case, an executive accused of stealing chip info for China. Even the NVIDIA and Vallejo case, a developer allegedly steals code, then accidentally reveals it on a video call with his new employer, shows how easily secrets can just walk out the door.
What's fascinating here is how those lines blur between state interests and corporate interests.
Definitely.
And it goes even further, doesn't it? Into the realm of shadow networks and global politics.
Indeed. These are hidden webs of informal alliances, clandestine relationships, covert operations, all influencing global politics far beyond public scrutiny.
Who makes up these networks?
It's incredibly diverse actors, powerful political elites, multinational corporate interests, well-funded lobbyists, think tanks, advocacy groups.
Even criminal elements sometimes.
Sometimes, yes. They operate on shared interests, reciprocal favors, deep social ties built up over years. The insight here is how these seemingly disparate groups can coalesce to wield enormous, often unseen, power.
And how do they actually exert this influence? What are their tactics?
Several key tactics. One is the manipulation of information, selective disclosure, biased media narratives, you know the drill.
Controlling the story.
Right. Another is immense financial leverage. Donations, campaign funding, economic incentives, money talks.
And that revolving door thing?
Yes, that's a very insidious method called regulatory capture. Individuals move back and forth between industry and the regulatory bodies that are supposed to oversee them, effectively influencing policies from the inside.
And the consequences of these shadow networks, they can be huge.
Vast. Policy decisions frequently end up favoring special interests over public welfare. They can reshape entire markets, distort global trade, even escalate conflicts or undermine diplomacy.
Any examples jump out?
Well, the Panama Papers scandal is a stark example. It revealed those extensive offshore tax havens used by global elites. Such a network in action.
Right.
Or think about the intense, often opaque corporate lobbying within the European Union. That influences everything from environmental regulations to trade deals.
It's fascinating how the lines blur between state and corporate interests, creating this complex web of influence, often outside traditional oversight.
And private intelligence firms play a role here too, right? Corporations hire them.
Yeah, increasingly. They're hired to vet executives, investigate potential partners, detect early warning signs of trouble, maybe stuff brewing in open sources or even fringe forums.
So it's like a proactive defense against reputation crises or insider leaks.
Exactly. It demonstrates this blurring perfectly, using intelligence techniques in the corporate sphere.
Which brings us to the modern battlefield.
Right. In today's digital age, the battlefield has fundamentally shifted. The Russia-Ukraine war, for example. You could argue it's the first major conflict fought and documented on social media. Ukraine really seized the information initiative early on.
It totally highlights how profoundly the information environment has changed how influence is wielded.
And the environment itself dictates the tactics, you were saying.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In constrained environments, think low resource settings, limited internet access, traditional psychological operations still work well.
Leaflets, radio broadcasts.
Yeah. Leaflets, handbills, radio. They're effective because there's less competition for narratives. Think ISIS-controlled areas or maybe rural Somalia.
But then you have unconstrained environments.
Right. Highly contested spaces, high internet access, basically unlimited media narratives competing. Here, traditional PSYOP methods are far less effective.
Too much noise.
Exactly. There's an information deluge. It highlights the need for advanced analytical capabilities just to cut through that noise.
And speed matters. A lot.
Speed is critical. The competition for influence has a distinct first-mover advantage. Research shows that simply countering fake news with accurate info often doesn't work well.
Why not?
Cognitive bias. People tend to stick with the first thing they heard or what confirms their existing beliefs, which is where pre-bunking comes in.
Ah, yes, pre-bunking. Fascinating strategy, like getting a vaccine against disinformation.
That's a great analogy. You're building immunity before the bad information even hits. The strategy of releasing intelligence before events occur, like we saw with Ukraine and Western powers regarding Russian operations, has proven incredibly decisive.
Disarms the disinformation before it takes hold.
Exactly. And the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, has identified several key tactics of disinformation we see playing out globally. Let's break those down.
Okay, first up, cultivating fake personas and websites.
Right. This is about creating entire networks of fake experts, journalists, think tanks, academic institutions, all to lend false credibility.
It's a long game, isn't it?
Often, yes. The Russian GRU used fake think tanks in the 2016 U.S. election. Iran's Endless Mayfly network impersonated legitimate media outlets. The insight here is they're building entire fictional ecosystems to make their false narratives seem legitimate.
Next, creating deepfakes and synthetic media.
This involves digitally manipulating or fabricating photos, videos, audio. Cheap fakes are simpler manipulations speeding up a video, say. But deepfakes use AI to produce media that's almost indistinguishable from reality.
Getting harder and harder to spot.
Terrifyingly so. China's Spamouflage Dragon used AI-generated profiles. We saw that deepfake video of President Zelensky supposedly telling troops to stand down. The scary part is how quickly AI is making it almost impossible for the average person to tell real from fake.
Creates a real crisis of trust.
Precisely, a profound crisis in what we see and hear.
Another insidious tactic. Devising or amplifying conspiracy theories.
These theories explain important events as secret plots by powerful actors. They can reshape worldviews, even lead to radicalization.
We've seen examples.
Oh yeah. China pushing claims about COVID originating in the U.S., Russia amplifying claims about U.S. bioweapon programs in Ukraine. The insight. Conspiracy theories tap into a basic human need for simple explanations for complex events. That makes them incredibly potent.
Okay, what else? Astroturfing and flooding.
Right. Astroturfing creates the impression of widespread grassroots support or opposition when it's actually fake. Flooding just overwhelms social media with similar messaging from bots or troll farms.
Also called fire hosing or censorship by noise.
Exactly. The Russian Internet Research Agency did this extensively in 2016. The key takeaway is making a minority view seem like the majority, or just drowning out credible info in a sea of noise.
Disinformation actors also abuse alternative platforms, right? Going where moderation is weaker.
Definitely. They use sites with less stringent policies to intensify narratives among specific user groups. Russia encouraged users onto Telegram for pro-Kremlin content. Extremist groups like ISIS have leveraged such platforms.
Go where the conversation is already happening.
And where their narratives face the least resistance. It's strategic.
A really subtle one seems to be exploiting information gaps or data voids.
Yes, subtle but incredibly effective. This means seeding disinformation in areas where credible information is scarce.
So if people are searching for something and can't find good info,
the false content rushes in to fill that vacuum. It increases the likelihood it's perceived as true, becoming the truth by default. Russia did this to falsely link a Syrian humanitarian group with terrorism.
Wow. Okay, finally. Manipulating unsuspecting actors.
This involves targeting prominent individuals or organizations to unknowingly amplify disinformation. Makes the content seem more credible because it comes from a trusted source.
Like who?
The Russian IRA recruited U.S. persons and journalists to unwittingly spread divisive content. There was a UK marketing firm hiring influencers to spread anti-vaccine messages. China hired a PR firm to recruit influencers for pro-Olympics messaging.
So they leverage your trust in someone else.
Exactly. They make you an unwitting participant in spreading their falsehoods. It's incredibly insidious.
This whole landscape, it just highlights how critical thinking isn't just a soft skill anymore, is it?
Not at all. It's a vital primary defense mechanism against these sophisticated attacks on our perception of reality. It means questioning the source, investigating the issue, really thinking before you share anything.
So given this flood of information and, frankly, disinformation, How do intelligence professionals and maybe even everyday people make sense of it all?
Well, that brings us to a powerful tool, open source intelligence, or OSINT.
OSINT.
OSINT is intelligence derived from collecting, evaluating, and analyzing publicly available information to answer a specific intelligence question.
Publicly available.
Right. And the key distinction here is crucial. Raw information only becomes intelligence when it's critically analyzed and given meaning.
It's not just gathering data.
No, it's about asking, why does this data matter? Or what does this piece of data tell me? It's synthesis and insight, not just collection.
So what kinds of sources are we talking about here? Because publicly available sounds pretty vast.
It truly is. Everything from traditional public records, news media, libraries.
To social media.
Oh yeah, social media platforms, images, videos, websites. Even parts of the dark web can be considered open source. The real art is connecting these seemingly disparate dots to form a coherent picture.
And who uses this? I imagine governments, law enforcement.
Definitely. Governments, law enforcement, military, investigative journalists, human rights investigators, private investigators. They all rely heavily on OSINT.
But you said everyday people, too.
Absolutely. Think about it. Every time you research someone you met online, or vet a potential employee, or even check out a company before investing, you're doing a form of OSINT.
Huh. Never thought of it that way.
Everyone leaves a digital footprint, right? OSINT is about making sense of that footprint.
It sounds like there's a process to this. Is there like a formal intelligence cycle for OSINT?
There is, yeah. It generally follows the standard intelligence cycle. Starts with preparation, defining your objectives, identifying potential sources, then collection, gathering the data. After that, processing, organizing, and collating that raw data. The core step is analysis and production. Interpreting the information, finding patterns, drawing conclusions, maybe recommending next steps.
And finally,
dissemination, presenting those findings to whoever needs them.
you also mentioned passive versus active OSINT. What's the practical difference there? Why does it matter?
Good question. Passive OSINT means gathering info without engaging the target at all. You're just observing.
No commenting, friending, liking.
Exactly. It leaves no trace. Active OSINT, on the other hand, involves engaging with the target, sending a message, a friend request, commenting.
So you're revealing your presence.
Right. It's considered more like an undercover operation in the digital space. It requires careful thought about policies and often means creating realistic blend-in accounts to avoid detection.
So the difference is critical for operational security and probably legal reasons too.
Absolutely. The benefits of OSINT generally are immense, though. Cost-effective, timely, often real-time transparent because the sources are open, and you get multiple perspectives from that wide range of sources.
It really sounds like the modern answer to navigating this information-rich world.
It is, but it requires discipline and real analytical rigor to turn all that noise into actual, actionable insights.
It's about turning information overload into a strategic advantage.
Exactly. Not just by gathering more data, but by asking deeper questions and connecting seemingly unrelated facts.
Okay, now let's take these concepts cover: motivation, corporate espionage, info warfare, OSINT, and bring them to life. Let's look at some captivating real-world examples of intelligence operations and spy rings from history.
Sounds good. These aren't just stories. They vividly illustrate the concepts we've been discussing.
Where should we start?
Let's start with the double-cross system. Arguably one of the most ingenious deceptions of World War II, run by British MI5.
Okay, double cross. What was it?
Instead of just imprisoning captured German agents, MI5 flipped every single one. Turned them into double agents working for the British.
Every single one. That's a huge gamble. How did they pull that off?
Meticulously. They fed the Germans elaborate, fabricated intelligence, fake documents, fake troop movements, the works.
Through these turned agents.
Exactly. Agents like Dushko Popov, codenamed Tricycle, and Juan Pujol Garcia Garbo were central. A dedicated 20 committee managed the whole deception, ensuring everything was consistent.
And it works.
Unbelievably well. It was so successful that essentially no real intelligence reports from German agents in Britain made it back to Berlin during the critical period.
Wow.
In fact, some of the double agents even received medals from Hitler for their supposed loyalty.
That's incredible.
It's a masterful example of information manipulation and turning the enemy's own assets completely against them.
That system really highlights the power of controlling the information environment. Okay, now let's turn to something maybe more straightforward but devastating.
Yeah.
The Walker's spy ring.
Ah, yes. John A. Walker, Jr., a U.S. Navy chief warrant officer, recruited by the KGB back in 1967.
And he compromised U.S. naval communications for how long?
An astonishing 17 years, and he did it by recruiting his brother, a friend, and even his own son.
What was the motivation there? MIE.
Primarily money. It's a textbook example of that motivation in the MIC framework driving long-term espionage.
And what's remarkable about Walker is his methods were incredibly simple, almost unremarkable, right? Not super high-tech.
Exactly. He used copied documents, microfilm, dead drops, basic stuff. Received payments in cash or diamonds, low-tech but devastatingly effective for nearly 2 decades.
Shows you don't always need fancy gadgets.
Absolutely not. It proves that sophisticated tech isn't always necessary for high-impact espionage. He was only caught when his ex-wife finally contacted the FBI.
A stark reminder of the damage a single, well-placed insider can do over time.
Definitely.
And speaking of psychological manipulation, the Stasi-Romeo network from East Germany is a pretty chilling example.
Oh, yeah. Markus Wolf, who ran the Stasi's foreign espionage wing, developed these Romeo agents.
What was their tactic?
Male agents specifically trained to seduce lonely female clerks and administrators in West Germany, women who had access to sensitive NATO materials.
Exploiting loneliness and ego.
Exactly. Using ego or compromise elements through deeply personal manipulation. The high-profile Gunther Guillaume affair is the famous example.
He was a Romeo agent.
Yes, long embedded. His exposure directly led to the resignation of West German Chancellor Willy Brandt. It shows the real-world political impact this kind of psychological targeting can have.
That story really drives home the human cost.
Yeah.
Okay, moving to a different kind of influence. The Propaganda Do, P2 Lodge, in Italy. That sounds like one of those shadow networks we talked about.
A prime example, yes. It started as a Masonic lodge, but this guy Lucio Gelli transformed it into a powerful, covert network.
What do they do?
It wasn't just influencing, they effectively infiltrated Italian politics, the military, finance. They were involved in illegal schemes, money laundering, even attempting to rewrite the Italian constitution to centralize power.
How did it come crashing down?
Through a completely unrelated murder investigation, believe it or not. It led investigators to Gelli, and eventually they found a list of over 900 high-profile members.
Including
Cabinet ministers, heads of intelligence agencies. It truly showcases how an informal alliance can become a sort of state within a state, operating entirely outside democratic oversight.
a real shadow government. Okay, one more. One that had a huge impact on history. Richard Sorge's Ring in WBII Japan.
Sorge, an incredible case. Posing as a German journalist in Tokyo, he worked for the Soviet GRU.
How did he operate?
He cultivated deep relationships within the German embassy. But his most important asset was Hatsumi Ozaki, a political advisor to the Japanese prime minister. Ozaki provided highly classified information.
What makes Sorge stand out so much?
His critical report in May 1941, he accurately predicted that Japan would move south into Southeast Asia, rather than attacking the Soviet Union from the east.
And that information was crucial for Stalin.
Hugely crucial. It allowed Stalin to confidently redeploy vital troops from Siberia to the Western Front to fight the Nazis. Many historians argue that intelligence changed the course of the war on the Eastern Front.
And Sorge was an NOC agent.
A classic NOC. Meticulously cultivating human intelligence over years, operating under deep cover, delivering truly game-changing strategic insight.
It's just remarkable looking at these historical examples.
Yeah.
The consistency of human motivation.
Right. Money, ideology, compromise, ego, it's always there.
And the core principles of tradecraft remain pretty constant too, even as technology evolves. The methods change, but the underlying human equation seems central.
Absolutely. The enduring patterns in how influence is gained, how secrets are kept, and how information is weaponized, they're really striking across time and context.
So we've journeyed through this intricate world of intelligence, from the careful construction of a spy's cover to the modern battlefields of information and the pervasive nature of hidden influence.
Quite a tour.
Hopefully you now have a deeper understanding of how critical information is gathered, manipulated, and protected in a world where, well, knowledge truly is power.
And knowledge is most valuable when it's understood and applied, right? This deep dive into the mechanisms of intelligence and influence hopefully encourages critical thinking.
Yeah.
There's always more to learn, always multiple perspectives to consider in this complex domain.
So as you navigate your own information landscape, whether it's scrolling through social media, watching the news, even just having a conversation, maybe consider this. How might understanding these deep-seated tactics, espionage, disinformation, how might that change the way you evaluate the information you encounter every day? What might be lurking just beneath the surface, shaping your perceptions without you even realizing it?
Stay curious, stay vigilant.